Edward Snowden has a new book, Permanent Record, and here are 10 things that I learned after reading it. Hey, thanks for watching. Today, I want to talk about Edward Snowden's book, Permanent Record. And I recorded this for Reviews Day Tuesday. Now, I know I'm a day late, but I didn't finish the book. And unlike so many of the people that review books online, I actually read the entire book. You can go to a lot of books after you've read it and read the online reviews, and it's clear they only read like the first chapter, but I read the whole thing. So let me tell you about what I learned. Here's 10 things I learned from the book in no particular order. The first was that Edward Snowden supported the Iraq War and joined the army. I didn't know about that. In fact, I wasn't really that into politics 5-6 years ago, and so I didn't follow the story that closely. I didn't know that much about him. I haven't seen the movie that they made about him, and so this book was kind of the introduction for me to really learn about him. But yeah, he was in the army. Now, he didn't make it through basic training. He became ill or got injured and was released. But that was something that I didn't know. The second thing in the book that was really interesting was to learn that the Bush administration changed the meanings of words like acquire and obtain. And they did this so that they could collect all the data they wanted to, but they weren't actually acquiring or obtaining it until they got it from their database. So they could collect everything, but they didn't need a warrant or anything until they actually retrieved it. That's pretty shady. The third thing that I learned from the book was that at the NSA, the people working there would share nudes of people they were tracking and following. And they knew that the government didn't want anyone to know about this program, so the government wouldn't prosecute any of them. Fourth item of interest from the book was that James Clapper lied. As Director of National Intelligence, he testified under oath that the NSA did not gather bulk intelligence. Why is this guy still on the scene? Why is he not in jail? Makes you wonder, okay? The fifth thing that I learned from this book was that Edward Snowden, much bigger nerd than I thought. And in going through it, he was into anime, he was into Rubik's Cubes. That was one of the ways that he may have snuck micro SD cards out of the facility, was in the Rubik's Cube, perhaps. Sixth thing I learned from this book is that Edward Snowden used the handle Verax, which is Latin for speaker of truth. Now, he did this because it was a play on Mendax, which is speaker of lies, and that was the handle that Julian Assange used. And I thought that that was kind of interesting. The seventh thing that I learned from this is about contractors and secret clearances. He went through in great detail how people, after they work for the government and they get their secret clearance, their top secret clearance, all these clearances, that immediately there's all these contractors that want to hire them because the contractors don't want to pony up and pay for the clearances. And so that's a great job opportunity for anyone that gets a clearance. I wish I knew this because back in the 90s, I worked for an agency with 3 letters that ends in agency, not the one you think. And I had a secret clearance as well, and I got to travel the globe doing some satellite work. And when that job was over, I didn't know that my clearance was worth anything, and I didn't pursue it. Turns out I should have went to DC and cashed in by getting a job at one of these contractors, but you know, live and learn. That's something that was brand new to me. I had no idea, and that was interesting. The pipeline from government employee to contractor. The eighth thing that I learned is that Edward Snowden hasn't learned Russian yet. He's been living in Russia since 2013 or something. Many years he's been there with his now wife. He says that she knows it okay, but he hasn't bothered to learn it. What are you doing, Edward? What are you doing? Get Duolingo. Let's, learn the language. It's not that hard. I'm on Duolingo. I'm learning Russian and Ukraine and a bunch of other stuff. It's kind of fun. You're living there. There's probably not a chance that you're going to live anywhere other than Russia for the foreseeable decades. So learn the language, man. And if anyone wants to add me on Duolingo, my handle is Coffee and Nuance. The ninth thing that was really interesting in this book was that his passport was canceled while he was en route from Hong Kong to Russia. Now, he didn't plan on staying in Russia. He wanted to continue on through Cuba and then to Ecuador. But John Kerry canceled or had his passport canceled while he was in flight going to Moscow, therefore kind of ensuring that he would be living in Russia forever. And that's very curious as to why you would take a disgruntled NSA employee and give them over to the Russians. It makes no sense. They should have allowed him to continue to Ecuador. I think the U.S. would have a much better chance at having some influence over Ecuador as they do over Moscow. But I don't know. It just seems really odd to me. And the 10th thing that I learned from this book, and it'll be interesting to see what happens when I actually say the words XKeyscore. That is the name of the program. And Edward Snowden described it like sci-fi. He said you could type anyone's address, phone number, IP address into this program, XKeyscore, and yeah, you could read their emails, you could go through their browsing history, you could play back their desktop. And the fact that I didn't know the depths and the details of what he was exposing, I'm a little disappointed in myself. I should have known this. I wasn't paying attention years ago when this came out, and probably, most people in the country aren't either. And I'm a little disappointed that I didn't follow the story closer. And it does get me thinking about privacy, my own privacy. I think I'm going to start looking into VPNs and, maybe running a a Tor browser out of my basement or something. I don't know. If I do find a VPN I like, I will of course share it with the channel. But this XKeyscore business that he described as being like sci-fi, how you can follow anything that anyone does online, is really, really amazing. I didn't know the depths that it went to. And mind blown. No. I think that this is an important book to read. I don't know that it's the best, most well-written book, but you wouldn't expect that. But I did enjoy reading it. I was fascinated to learn about everything that he exposed and how he went about it and learning about his life. So I would recommend that you check out this book. I'll leave a link in the description. And let me know your thoughts about Edward Snowden's new book in the comments. Peace.